Hi, second grade students. Today's story is from Knowledge 5, Lesson 7, called The Battle After the War. Before we begin our read aloud, I'm going to introduce you to our vocabulary words. Our first vocabulary word for today's story is the word astonished. Repeat after me. Astonished. Astonished means feeling surprised or a feeling of amazement. Our next vocabulary word is the word retreated. Say retreated. Retreated means to move backward to avoid danger. Our last vocabulary word for today's story is the word truce. Say truce. A truce is an agreement to stop fighting or arguing. Grandfather Lafitte, JP, and Adele settled back around the table on their grandfather's front porch. As they shared a plate full of chocolate chip cookies and some cold lemonade, they relaxed in the warm sunshine. The ginger barn cat was purring, curled up beneath the table. The War of 1812 was not quite over, started Grandfather Lafitte as he took a sip of his lemonade. There was to be one more big victory for us. Remember, the final part of the British three-part plan was to attack the city of New Orleans and gain control of the Mississippi River. Was New Orleans an important port too? Asked JP, who had already devoured 3 cookies and was now eating an apple. It certainly was. It was one of the largest cities in America, and it was an important trading center. Farmers could ship their goods down the Mississippi River to the port of New Orleans. Ships transported these goods far and wide. Not only that, the Ohio, Missouri, and Tennessee rivers feed into the Mississippi River. That means that farmers as far away as Ohio, as well as settlers moving west, had a way of sending and receiving goods. Important supplies could be taken all across the United States on what was essentially a series of water highways. Oh, I see, said JP. If the British captured New Orleans, they would be able to stop that trade. That would not have been good for farmers or for merchants. You're absolutely right, said Grandfather Lafitte, cracking a proud smile at his grandson. This was a battle we could not afford to lose. A man named General Andrew Jackson was asked to put together an army and go to New Orleans to defend it, and that's exactly what he did. Actually, Jackson's army was a ragtag group of militiamen from Louisiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. He had some trained soldiers, but to help them, he recruited anyone and everyone he could. Farmers, Native Americans, African Americans, even pirates. Pirates, exclaimed Adele. You said pirates were part of the story. Granddad, is this where you tell us about pirates? Almost, Grandfather Lafitte replied, but first I want to tell you about the Battle of New Orleans. Then I'll have plenty to tell you about pirates. Now, during the summer of 1814, the British started building up a larger invasion force. With the Napoleonic Wars almost over, the British had more soldiers to spare. They now had more than twice as many soldiers as the Americans. How could we beat such a huge army? Asked JP, astonished. Listen and I'll tell you about it, urged Grandfather Lafitte. In early December of 1814, General Andrew Jackson arrived in New Orleans. People were in a state of panic. The British Navy had already begun to destroy some of the city's defenses. Then, just 2 days before Christmas, General Jackson got word that the British Army was only 8 miles from New Orleans. He ordered the construction of entrenchments or defensive walls across the swampy land around the city. He got as many people as he could to dig these defensive walls. That was smart of him, said JP. As it turned out, it really was, replied Grandfather Lafitte. Over the next several days and weeks, there were many military encounters between both sides. However, the deciding battle, which became known as the Battle of New Orleans, took place in early January in a wooded area south of the city. The British were moving toward the city, but what they did not know was that some of Andrew Jackson's best soldiers were strategically positioned along the defensive walls that had been built around the city. These soldiers were armed with much better weapons than the British soldiers had. General Andrew Jackson's men also had about a dozen cannons. Did the British know that they were outgunned? Asked JP. No, they did not. At least not at first, replied Grandfather Lafitte. One group of British soldiers advanced at dawn across an open field between the Mississippi River and an area of swampland. Unfortunately for the British, their commanding officer did not survive that effort. Without a leader to take the commanding officer's place, there was a great deal of confusion on the battlefield. Before long, the British soldiers realized they were in trouble. Did they surrender? Inquired Adele. Yes, essentially, agreed Grandfather Lafitte. By this time, hundreds of British soldiers had been lost or injured. The British had no choice. They raised a white flag. As the smoke cleared, the firing stopped, and it seemed that one British officer even stepped forward and offered his sword to a U.S. commanding officer as a sign of truce. Overall, compared to the British, we lost very few soldiers in the Battle of New Orleans. The British retreated, but they stayed in their encampment near the battlefield for several more days. No more shots were fired by either side. Eventually, the British withdrew their ships and sailed away. The Battle of New Orleans was perhaps our greatest victory, but it was not the last battle of the War of 1812. The last battle was in February 1815 at Fort Boyer, at the entrance of Mobile Bay near what is now Alabama. The British won that battle and were considering another attack on New Orleans. But before they did, they received the news that a peace treaty had been signed in Europe. The war was officially over. I don't understand, Granddad, said JP. Did you say the war was already over, but both sides were still fighting? How could that be? Asked Adele. Well, I'll explain, said Grandfather Lafitte. The previous September, after the Battle of Baltimore, both sides began to work on a peace treaty. That peace treaty was eventually signed on Christmas Eve, December 24th of 1814. But back then, news traveled very, very slowly. The news of the peace treaty did not reach the troops in time to prevent the Battle of New Orleans or the attack on Fort Boyer. That's too bad, said Adele. Those soldiers wouldn't have been hurt if they'd known about the peace treaty. Yes, that's true, replied Grandfather Lafitte, but there was a positive effect from battles such as the Battle of New Orleans. Some historians say that the War of 1812 was America's second war for independence. That's because successful battles, like the Battle of New Orleans, did help us believe in ourselves as a strong nation. What happened after the war? Asked Adele. Well, I want to tell you a little about the peace treaty itself, and we mustn't forget about those pirates, replied Grandfather. The children settled back down in their chairs and waited for Grandfather Lafitte to continue.